Hey guys, it's Eddie here with Alessandro. We both got a hands-on recently for a pre-release demo of Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And we're here to talk to you about, what we saw, what we liked, and more. So, let's dive right in. All right, so Crash Bandicoot 4 is a direct sequel to Crash 3, which was, the original trilogy games made by Naughty Dog. And in this game, you're picking up with, obviously you're playing as Crash again, but they're introducing a number of other different playable characters, such as Dr. Neo Cortex, the evil villain from the earlier games. So you get to play as him later in this game, and we could probably talk about that more later.
So yeah, this game is actually going back to basics. Like, it's this is Crash Bandicoot 4, not like some other like sort of weird subtitle that they put in for the other sequels. This is actually a more direct sequel to Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. It was interesting going back to this because I have a fondness for those games, but I think revisiting now is just like, for one, they just seem to sort of have like this purity when it comes to platforming, and it's just really easy to get into, but it's also it can get very difficult pretty quickly too. So did you notice like how challenging that was?
Oh, absolutely. So like one of the things that the developers were talking about is how, this game has, tense and precise platforming, and like that's absolutely true. I definitely struggled with a few of the levels at the beginning. It's definitely a learning process, but it all feels like fair. Like you never feel like the game is against you or in any way, cheating you out of achieving something. It's all about learning which ways to go, which paths to take, and, being able to execute the specific platforming objectives that are in front of you.
And we were actually playing on the sort of the modern mode, gameplay mode. They had the retro mode, which actually brought back the sort of like the lives, like player lives that, every time you die, you lose a life and stuff. But for the modern mode, you just go back to the checkpoint. But in the top right corner, it sort of keeps track of all the times like you died.
It's almost sort of like a puzzle platformer in a way, especially when you work in some of the new masks that this game has. So if we want to talk about those, like talk about the the time stopping mask for Crash that he uses, and I thought that was a really unique way to mix things up in terms of the puzzle solving. There were a lot of different mechanics tied to being able to stop time that, didn't immediately click with me at the start, but then, you see through trial and error, you could figure out how to get through the levels. I
gotta say, it like blended really well with like the sort of like the core, like, actual platforming and jumping mechanics of the game. And, it was pretty interesting seeing, that sort of like, new ability being brought in. But also there's another one like in the other level too, which was sort of like this sort of like phase shifting like mask.
You click the button to initiate the phase, and the world kind of just flips, and you see a different perspective, and it unlocks different objectives, and kind of going off that in that Dino Dash level. Obviously, I think that was my favorite of the three that we got to play, especially because of those the classic Crash moments when you're you're running toward the camera with a dinosaur chasing you down, and it was kind of difficult to get the timing and the jumps and the slides, try to coordinate all of those in the right way, and then like if you were like unsuccessful, there's some pretty brutal animations. I don't know if this happened to you. But when the T-Rex eats you.
It brought back those like similar feelings of like that sort of like anxiousness, but also that rush. It was really nice to sort of experience that again, but like in a new game.
I think they've done a good job here, at least in the sections which that we played, which again our pre-release code. They've done a good job at like making taking Crash and taking its foundations in gaming nostalgia and kind of modernizing it.
We actually also get to play as a Cortex as well.
Yes.
You actually revisit past levels, and you actually sort of change the flow of like the events of that level. And the one level we got to play as him was actually revisit the first level in the demo, and you actually sort of like alter like an event that happens in that level, and from there you actually switch back to Crash and you sort of continue the course of that level, but it's a bit different, and it's actually like way harder too. So
I really liked his his special abilities too, his blaster gun, and the way he could make things into jelly or rock to jump on. And but going back to your other point too, I thought the way they're introducing story or additional elements of story in this through that is very, very interesting, because in the Dino Dash level too, we saw a section where Crash was, he was saved by someone, but we didn't see who it was. And that's kind of similar to this Snow Way Out mission where, a cinematic plays out, but you don't have all the information, but then you play as Cortex and you kind of figure out what happened. So I think that's a really interesting way to deliver story.
It was fun to see that sort of like like that character brought back again, but also to play as him as well. Like you know, and it's a nice compliment to sort of the traditional levels too, because like he's not as agile, but you know he's got like other tricks and stuff he can use. So it was a nice change of pace playing as him. So.
Yeah, it definitely was. Like he doesn't have a double jump. He has a dash, but he doesn't have a double jump. So yeah, it really creates a fun new way to play it.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing that's actually coming to this game as well that we didn't quite see in the demo, but that Coco will actually have more of a presence in this game as well. Like, and from what they said, you can actually play as Coco in pretty much every Crash level as well. So that should be pretty interesting. Like, you know, just being able to swap between the two, like, you know, as you want.
I mean, something else that we should probably talk about too is like probably the incredible amount of replayability you might find in these levels in terms of, you know, collecting all the Wumpas and finding all the Easter eggs. Like, I don't know about you, but I didn't get close to getting, you know, the hundreds in
not
the
even
level.
No.
Yeah, not even close. So I could see myself going back and, you know, it would definitely be challenging, but I would love to watch someone speedrun this game or, you know, 100% it. I think that'd be really fun to see.
One thing I will say, and that, you know, I really appreciate, it's a really subtle change too, but there's like a circle right underneath Crash. So you can actually see where you're landing, and that wasn't in the original games. So that's like something I really appreciate, because like I think a challenge that a lot of people face is like sort of getting a sense of like, you know, distance when you're trying to make the platforming, like, you know, like jumps and stuff. So I really like some of the subtle changes like being added to the game, but which still feel very consistent with like the original trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, in particular, there were, you know, plenty of platforms I just would not have made it to if it weren't for that, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's it from me and Alessandro here talking about Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. You can check out the game for yourself on October 2nd for PS4 and Xbox One, and let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. See you next time.